The royal court is magnificent. The king has a rich treasure of coins and gold ingots. A single one of these ingots weighs 970 pounds. Grain and animals are abundant and the inhabitants are very rich. Instead of coined money, pure gold nuggets are used.
This was how the Western world first heard of the legendary city of Timbuktu. "500 years ago, a young man stood here, whose travels and writings would not only make him one of the greatest travelers of all time, but would also open up the heart of Africa to the rest of the world." Born a Muslim called Al-Hassan ibn Muhammad al-Wazzan, that young man became known as Leo Africanus, a Christian convert. During his life, he would be a refugee, a spy, and even a captive. He wrote his great book, The Description of Africa. It was his intellectual journeys between Europe and Africa and spiritual journeys between Islam and Christianity, when rival kingdoms were fighting for power, that have made him enduringly important. This is my journey to try and reveal the man behind the myth, Leo Africanus. It was in Rome that the most Arabic of scholars found an international audience. Although born a Muslim, he was known by a Latin name, Leo Africa, and what might be the only picture of him shows him dressed as a European intellectual. And the only surviving copy of the manuscript that made his name was written not in Arabic, but Italian. When it was published, it caused a sensation. This is 500 years old. This is history in your hands. Book that changed the way Europeans and Westerners in general looked at Africa.
It is written in Italian, and there is a date at the end of the book on the 10th of March, 1526, in Rome.
This is the closest thing we can get to Leo Africanus. It's not his own handwriting,
No.
but he dictated every word in the book.
The scribe was Lebanese, and his handwriting is known from other books. We know this is from a professional.
Yeah, he's professional scribe. That's why you can see the beautiful writing.
Yes.
When he was writing this book, he had in mind mainly the Italian and European readers rather than Muslim or African readers.
Yes,
book,
yes, absolutely.
He was writing it for the Europeans. Was it a popular book? Was it something that scholars at the time and geographers and travelers would like to read and to discover about Africa?
This work was very important because the Occidental world didn't know anything about Northern Africa, if not from the classics, from the classic authors of the Roman Empire. After the Roman Empire, there were no news about Africa, about geography, about people, because the Christianity couldn't
get access
to the Arabic Muslim world. At the end of the work, and he says, finished the book of the composer Messer Joan Leone Granatino, which means from Granada, on Africa and its cities, rivers and mountains in Africa.
So, my first clue to the man behind the book is that he was from Granada, in Islamic Spain, Al-Andalus. To begin to understand Leo, you have to understand the world he was born into. It was dominated by conflict between the superpowers of the day. To the east, the Ottoman Empire. To the west, the powers of France and Spain. And the Holy Roman Empire. Just a few years after Leo's birth, in the late 1480s, Al-Andalus would suffer a defeat that overturned 800 years of Moorish culture in Spain and see the expulsion of tens of thousands of families. This was Leo's world.
Spain was part of Al-Maghreb at the time for geographers, the west part of the Islamic world. So it's
Andalusia at that time was considered by geographers as part of Al-Maghreb.
Al-Maghreb, it was a same geographical area. Granada was a metropole, I would say, the New York of that time. Maybe 100,000 inhabitants. That culture has left so many traces, reminiscences till now in what we're seeing all around us. You see here churches, before there were mosques, always in this beautiful neighborhood, still preserve the shape of the Islamic city with very narrow streets, wooden houses, what was usually traditional with lime, not now. But you still have all this greenery inside the houses because we still preserve this beautiful habit of the Islamic tradition and civilization is to put the garden inside the house. So the garden is the paradise, and the paradise at home.
The layout of the narrow streets and closely packed houses of Muslim Granada still survives in the Albaythin, the city's Arabic quarter. But it's only in Morocco, in North Africa, just 15 miles away from the coast of Spain, that you can see a house of the period and visit the earthly paradise that well-to-do Arabs created for themselves.
السلام عليكم. اسمح لمس عليكم يا سيدي. بسم الله. بارك الله فيكم. شو كلمك؟ الحمد لله.
Leo's name at birth was Al-Hassan ibn Muhammad al-Wazzan, and it gives us the biggest clue to the life he was born into. It means Hassan, the son of Muhammad, the way master.
على النقش الخشبي هذا وشرح. He's telling me that this yellow color we can see here is made out of egg yolks, and still after 400 years, the yellow color is still bright.
Most of the houses are built of fine bricks and strikingly painted stone. The ceilings of the houses are adorned with gold, azure, and other excellent colors. The doors are supported with finely plastered brick pillars. Some are made of marble.
As a waymaster in Granada, Leo's father would have been a high-ranking town official. It would have been a prosperous job and given his family a luxurious life.
This is the city that must have shaped Leo's childhood. Tolerant, cultured, and outward-looking, with connections to Africa, Arabia, and the rest of Europe. Throughout his life, Leo thought of this city as being his true home city, and calling himself Leo the Granadan, Al-Gharnati.
And nearly 800 years of peace and tolerance, of Jews, Christians, and Muslims living together, would be swept away. By the early 1490s, just a few years after Leo's birth, the forces of Catholic Spain, they were to ethnically cleanse the city with the frenzy of the Inquisition, an event that's still remembered with sorrow in the Arab world until today.
Thousands of North African families trace their roots back to here, to Granada and Al-Andalus in general. My own family, who lives in Fes in Morocco, trace our ancestry back to this city, making it a living link between the two cultures and religions.
I feel like I am in my homeland. When I walk in the streets, I feel like I am in my own country, as if it's an Islamic land.
In 1492, the citadel of Alhambra was conquered, and Granada was snatched away from its Moorish rulers.